Baba Rob, it's time to start the show. Oh no!
Is that what we get for music selection?
Son of a monkey!
Spartacus, what's up, homie? You're not gonna show me no love.
Alright, come on, Spartacus.
What?
All right. I'm leaving. That's it.
All right, let's Spartacus.
See y'all next week.
Let me put my audio back in. I'm sorry. I had to let Spartacus rickroll the show. Spartacus, man. Wait, you just need some more attention, Spartacus. Yeah, I need some more attention. Y'all need to pay attention to me, put me on. Go sit down. Go sit down, Squirticus. Yo, what's good, y'all? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geek and geekettes, all my fabulous people all across the interweb. Anybody just missed the opening of the show? What were you doing? Because that was great. That was epic. Epic. Rick rolled the Black Geeks. That's awesome. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, I am your phoneless but yet effervescent host, Big Baba Rob.
Oh, so you still don't have a phone?
Dude, I still don't have
Oh my gosh.
I turned my...
You haven't quit on this company yet.
Okay, my phone is currently at Motorola.
Oh, hold on. So what, they got like naked pictures of you covered in peanut butter, like with a transformer or something that, you know, they gonna put on the internet if you don't stay with them?
I sure hope they don't download those images. I sure hope not. But yeah, they're holding my droid hostage. I'm hoping to hear back something. I tried to reactivate my droid 4. That failed. After 5 days, it gave up the ghost. It's like I can't do apps. It just died. It just died. So I was like, oh hell, that just sucks. Oh, here he goes.
Hold up. So you really just gonna bite my shtick?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what he's gonna do.
He's sitting here biting my shtick.
This is the type of stuff.
This is a challenge for me to go get my robes and my lightsaber. This is not going to happen though.
No,
I'm gonna stay nice and refreshed and nice and cool.
I thought your name was the Potbelly Samurai.
What is a lightsaber with a sword?
Last I checked, I was the only one doing the whole Star Wars thing, so you would be copying me.
You really believe that?
I know at the formation of said adventure, I'm the only one who went with Darth and Sith, and you went with Samurai.
So I went with Samurai because I'm actually a real samurai.
Okay.
Unlike you, like old Darth Pretender.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody so we can start the show.
Yeah.
I know that you're just getting back to your command center after watching Fear of the Walking Dead, so you need to get your oh no. Oh, see, look what you've done. He's going to get the robe, man.
Oh wow.
Get your news queued up. Let me introduce us. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce real quick for you. These are our Black Geeks for this evening.
Michion got to pull out his katana.
Of course he does, because you done started some...
This is real samurai. So bring your fake lightsaber anytime you want to challenge some real steel.
Wow.
Well, actually, I would bring out my nunchucks if you want to go martial arts weapons.
Yeah, so bring that whenever you feel like it, and we'll test it against some forged steel and see what happens.
Let's see who get hit first.
Mm-hmm. All right, paramedics on standby.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Oscar and Felix. Two of our favorite Black Geeks. We do have Dark Econius. Good day, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We do have the Potbelly Samurai. That's all that needs to say. Okay.
I think he's gonna say something.
Okay.
No.
At least in Japanese, something.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, back from her stint as a longshoreman, we do have Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix, welcome back.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. So good to see you.
I've been working, okay?
I know. Look. We all got jobs. We all have to make some sort of an income so that we can pay for this internet service until the internet gods, make it free to everyone. So, completely understood. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the show this evening we have yet again another round table. Okay, it's not quackly. Round table.
It's like a diamond with your head in the middle.
Yeah, I know. I can't quite straighten my arms out.
Some Illuminati stuff.
I'm not permitted to say. Sorry. I took an oath. So
he's going clear.
Yeah, so we're gonna. But I can tell you, I know we got a couple of really great topics on tonight. We're gonna talk about some of the things Somebody wrote a really great article about Vixen that got a lot of interest. So we're gonna talk about that, and I know we're gonna talk about Straight Outta Compton. So just get ready. We'll be talking about a couple things tonight. But
wait a minute. Are we talking about Straight Outta Compton? Are there gonna be spoilers? Because I'm supposed to see that.
You know about
I guess it wouldn't be
NWA?
spoilers because it's history.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you know about the group?
Wait a minute, I just realized, that's why I was like, technically, you do know Dr. Dre, right?
So these guys from Compton got together, right?
Have you heard this guy named Ice Cube?
And they started this group. It was really...
But you know what I mean? I don't want, play-by-play scenes, All right, whatever. Fine.
I don't think we
Let's just say it's kind of hard to spoil it.
I'm still in my 20s also, so, anyway.
No, I think you'll be safe. I don't really think there are a lot of... I think you'll be okay. It's about black guys, guns, police. I don't know. It's okay. I think you'll be all right.
Okay, here's the one spoiler. In the end, they break up.
Oh, you gave it away.
See, I didn't want to know that. I wanted to have some hope.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm sorry, they don't stay together in the end.
Yeah.
Damn.
Thanks
a lot.
I was hoping they would.
Yeah, I know. I think we all were. But yeah, it happened. Oh well. And one of them dies. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Well, you didn't say how they died. So,
that's true.
So you didn't really spoil it.
Yeah, it involved. I'm not even gonna say what it involves. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna spoil that. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Darth Geekonius, are you queued up and ready to give the people the news of the week?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now give you Darth Geekonius with Sith news. Dun, 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 dun.
I was about to tell Pop Blade to say one word.
Yeah, that's why.
It's like right on his face, like, don't say anything.
I don't know, because you a lazy son of a so-and-so. No music. Huh?
I'm not the producer of this operation, for the record.
He's a damn lie.
Oh, is that?
Mister, I have full control and I can mute you. I can kick you off the show at any time.
Challenge. I feel like I've been challenged now.
I would. I'd be offended right now.
You want me to change out Rick Isley? I can check it.
Okay.
It's not but a thing.
Next time, come on, give him some Luke, some 2 Live Crew.
Come on, baby.
Why do I keep doing this every weekend with y'all? I don't know why I keep doing this every weekend with y'all. I really don't know.
Matter of fact, give him the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood intro.
This is what happened when you let the patients run the insane asylum.
I know that. I know that's right, man. I wish I could. I wonder what's.
Okay, let me get into this. Let me get
my neighbor.
Oh boy. No.
Please, won't you be? Gartonius, won't you be? Rob's neighbor.
Do I have to change my sneakers and stuff too?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. You look kind of hot. You might want to change in general.
Actually, I have a fan right here. It's like blowing air on me the whole time.
It's fine, man.
I learned my lesson.
Not ahead.
We're going to get you into them camp showers and some deodorant. Make sure you stay nice and fresh underneath them hot ass robes.
Can we?
I'm just trying to help you.
Are you good?
Is that music?
He actually got the Mr. Rogers.
Don't mess with me. Come on now.
What? Okay. Are we doing a dance break? What is...
Okay. I'll stop. We got.
Could you please?
Okay.
Could you please stop?
I'm
Would you
back.
please? Would you please? Could you please stop with the? Okay. So, I know some of you are excited about this, but it has been confirmed that Ridley Scott's next movie, after he finishes the Martian with Mark Wahlberg, will be Prometheus 2. Yay! Prometheus, right? Wasn't that an awesome movie?
Why?
Because it has to be done. That's why.
Did Idris Elba die in that?
Did he? Yes.
I
Yes, he
think
did.
everybody died.
We don't need a sequel then.
He might come back as a
Whatever.
whatever. But in other news, so this weekend Tidal had a charity concert, Lil Wayne, and to celebrate Katrina's 10-year anniversary, and Drake performed, and this is supposed to be a big thing because Drake is apparently signed with Apple Music. So during his performance during the live stream, Tidal actually blanked out his performance for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
With a screen up there saying that due to Big Brother, we can't show this broadcast. So basically, they were dissing Apple in a very public manner. Unfortunately, news has come out from Drake and his team that Apple had absolutely nothing to do with him not being streamed. And per the contract he has with Apple, there's nothing wrong with him streaming. It was a last-minute decision by his manager for whatever reasons they wanted to do it. So Tidal has not gone back, so it looks like we're about to have a Tidal Apple beef, or Apple may do nothing and just buy them and just say, you're fired. Moving right along, AT&T
Just make Jay-Z richer.
Exactly right. AT&T has bought Dish Network. Some of you may already know that. So people have been wanting to know what is not Dish Network, excuse me, DirecTV, and people want to know what is AT&T's plan, considering that every company now is going away from 2-year contracts and are now following the T-Mobile model. But AT&T, being the lone survivor, they have decided that if you get DirecTV for, is it direct? Yeah, you get DirecTV for 2 years, you get an Apple. You get damn it.
Humming. It's the Dark Squirticus photobomb.
No, Darth Squirticus shut him down. Wait a minute. Oh no. Okay.
All right, and that's Sith news for this week. Back to you, Baba Rob.
So when you gonna take your ball and go home? That's real mature. The show must go on. Get to work,
Come on, there's Sith news to do. Darth Squirticus was just feeling lonely, and he just wanted to hang out on the show.
I'm not in the mood.
That's poor sportsmanship.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Poor sportsmanship, granddad.
I'll mute myself for the remainder of Sith news.
Like, that's going to stop him. Anyway, if you get DirecTV service for 24 months, you can now get a discount on your phone service. Just another way AT&T is locking you in.
I'm kind of looking at the screen, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but Donkey Coney is kind of like a little kid hiding underneath the bed, like sticking his head out from underneath the sheets a little bit.
What?
I'm muted for the rest of the show. I'm going to mute.
I don't know. This kind of like, look at him. He looked like a little kid, but he got a painted on beard, and like he's hiding underneath the bed, like he kind of like sticking his head out from underneath the bed sheets. This kind of like peekaboo. Like, I don't know. Is that just me?
Yeah, it's just you.
Okay, never mind.
Please continue. Please continue. I'm going to go back to mute.
I'm going to mute myself too, actually.
I'll keep my mic on.
This is getting very annoying. I really just don't have I just don't really have it anymore. And I had some good
I want to hear it.
I just don't have it in me
I've been out of the loop for a week. I want to know what's going on in the world.
They're just not serious tonight, damn it. and they're messing with my mojo. They're messing with my
Talk
flow.
about Vixen. Is
I'm
that
not
mean
gonna. I'm not gonna actually officially talk about it because
Okay.
Potbelly wrote the article, and I'll comment, but I'm not gonna mention it in the news segment if we ever finish the news segment. NASA's began a year-long NASA experiment. They got 6 people living in a dome to simulate conditions on Mars. So as we ramp up the idea of sending people to Mars, NASA is already working toward that. And the people will be stuck in this dome, and the only time they can come out is if they're wearing a spacesuit. So they're trying to study how that's going to go. Michael B. Jordan is in talks for another comic book film project. He's actually in discussion with MGM about starting an adaptation of Blood Brothers, which is a comic published by Dark Horse. So, you know, of course, we know how the last superhero movie went, so we hope the brother get another shot. Apple has officially announced that they will be doing their Apple event on September 9th. It is expected that the iPhone 6s will be announced and the 6s Plus, as well as potentially in the new Apple TV. Tesla has just been officially rated the highest car on Consumer Reports. They actually got 103 points on their 100-point scale. I don't know how that math works out, but that's what Consumer Reports is reporting. DC Comics seems to be a little upset with the direction of their comic books lately. They're saying since they've been doing new things with Harley Quinn and Bruce Wayne not being Batman, that they are going back to making the characters more traditional. They say they have lost about $2 million, and so they want to stop, quote-unquote, Batgirling their comic books. So if you've been following DC Comics, you'll understand. Google has been helping developers...
You should explain that to the people who haven't really been following DC, like what it means to be Batgirling the comics. Not trying to be funny, just, you know, clarify some things for the people. Going back on mute now.
So the news article I was talking about prior to the news article I was going into was talking about DC Comics trying to change direction as far as Batgirling. Batgirling is a colloquial term being used because it highlights what DC Comics has been doing by taking their characters in new and interesting directions, Batgirl being one of the most famous in this new direction. Some of the new things you might see after their convergence of it, Superman is walking around with jeans and a t-shirt. Batman has been different types of different other people other than Bruce Wayne. So since they're saying that their new universe has pretty much in a new direction has started with Batgirl, it's now being called Batgirling when they say they want to go back to the traditional stories. Is that good enough, Potbelly? Thank you. Google has been caught telling developers how to get around Apple's new security features. Apparently in iOS 9, which should be released here next month, Apple has created a new security feature that basically says that developers have to have extra coding in place to protect user privacy. Google, knowing that this is going to stop developers who do not have the capability to update their apps, it will staunch ad revenue, are now showing developers how to get around that standard and get around that encryption so that the ads can keep flowing. Thank you, Google. Marvel Studios is actually in talks with Wesley Snipes for a new Blade movie, but it's not what you think. So there's been lots of rumors that Wesley Snipes has been talking with Marvel, and the latest rumor, and this looks like it's a pretty close rumor, is that Wesley Snipes in talks to do a new Blade series where he will be more into a mentorship role. Apparently the new Blade will actually be a female who happens to be his child. So we're looking to see if that's going to materialize in Phase 4. Jerry Heller, speaking of Straight Outta Compton, is in the news recently because he's upset a little bit about his portrayal, but he's also out there with allegations that Suge Knight may have, in fact, given Eazy-E AIDS virus by injecting him with a needle. And, you know, why is it the FBI more involved than Tupac and Biggie's death, among other things? check it out. It's some good rumors. There's a new iPhone hack out there. Well, not a hack per se, but there's a company called Intelligent Energy in Britain who found a way to make the iPhone last 7 days on a charge using a new hydrogen battery. Of course, it's something that we don't have the technology to do right now, but they're now in talks with Apple to maybe make this a reality. So instead of lithium batteries, we may have hydrogen batteries that expel little air droplets of water, and that way the iPhone will last 7 whole days on a charge. I'm going to wrap it up with Samsung, one of my favorite companies. They recently got in trouble because their new Galaxy Note 5 actually breaks if you put the stylus in the wrong way. So somehow users have found a way to put the stylus in the wrong way. And once you put the stylus in the wrong way, it completely foolbars the phone. It does not work. Even if you get the stylus out, lots of functionality on the device stops working. And Samsung's response to this is, we said in the manual that you have to put the stylus in the right way, and so you guys are just using the stylus the wrong way. It sounds familiar to another company that had a similar issue several years ago, and they said the user was just holding the phone wrong. Well, Samsung is, you're using the stylus wrong, so it's not our fault. On a somber note, we here at the Black Geeks just recently learned that director...
Wait, no, I want to say that.
Well, damn. Have at it.
Because he is my icon, and that's one of the reasons why I write, and, like, I mean, can I say it?
Yes. Wait, Geekdom, so you finished with news?
I am done. Let her have it.
Dark Phoenix, the floor is yours.
The floor is yours.
I would just like to say that, you know, one of my idols, one of the reasons why I got into just entertainment and, you know, the genre that I'm interested in, Wes Craven, passed away today. And it's very, I was kind of very shocked about it. I mean, you know, I guess he was older and things, and he was battling an illness for some time, but it was one of those shockers where you kind of check the internet to see if it's a hoax, because, you know, they had done that with James Earl Jones earlier this week. So, I mean, it's one of those, he's one of those people that I thought, like, once I, like, make it up there, I wanted to meet and work with. So I'm just, you know, People Under the Stairs, Nightmare on Elm Street, which is one of my favorite, is my favorite, like, horror series. Scream. He was just such an innovative idea person, and I think it's a great loss, to be honest. So I just wanted to say that, and I think he'll be, you know, missed for sure.
Well, that's most definitely that. Wait a minute, okay, yeah. Just make sure my mic is on. I forgot I'm presenting to you. You know, I saw the news earlier, and you know, I thought about that, especially when it comes to, we talk so much about, we've talked so much lately about reboots and restarts, and you know, people rehashing old content, and you know, he's one of those people that you know is going to give you something different, something fresh, something good. So yeah, it definitely hits home. You know, we see a lot of the people that, you know, we grew up on and we modeled ourselves after, the things that we did, you know, passing on. So yeah, definitely really sad news with Wes Craven.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm probably like the only person on the podcast that's not really a horror person, but you know, you have to respect the work that Wes Craven did and the doors that he opened up for, you know, so many people, and how many people he inspired creatively. So, you know, rest in peace, Wes Craven.
Just to let you know, I don't do the horror thing either. It messes with my karma.
You should watch. You should totally do a marathon this week. I don't have a day. One of these nights, I'm going to do a Wes Craven marathon, seriously, because it's just, I mean, when you think about the breadth of his career, it was awesome. And, you know, I think one of the other things to point out is that in a lot of his movies, he tended to have, I think, strong female characters, which I always like. Nancy was considered like, you know, this heroine of the horror genre, you know, with Nightmare on Elm Street 1. And then when he came back, because he wasn't really involved with the sequel, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but when he came back for, I believe he came back for Dream Warriors, unless someone can correct me.
No.
I think it was Dream Warriors
he came back for he came back for New Nightmare. Was the one.
Okay, but he came. Well, that was the last one, but he came back for the third one because the second one tanked, and they brought him back. Yeah, he came back for Dream Warriors. You can look it up, but I think he came back from Dream Warriors, and that also has some strong. And Lawrence Fishburne was in that one, and then of course New Nightmare. Yeah, he came back for it, and the third one, Dream Warriors, one of my favorite, along with the first one, and then New Nightmare, which was like my third favorite. So all the ones he was involved with in that series were like the best kind. So I'm just And Scream, of course, turned the horror genre on its head. This idea that you had the slasher film, that people were so self-aware in the slasher film, you know, like self-aware of the idea, playing on all the tropes of slasher films. And it was just, you know, totally innovative, you know, and they had a lot of, just like Nightmare on Elm Street had a lot of copycats after it, so did Scream. They should have stopped after a certain amount of movies, but yeah, so.
Well, the fourth one redeemed itself. But I wanted to confirm for you, yeah, Wes Craven, he helped write the third one, but he wrote and directed the first one, as well as the last one, New Nightmare.
New Nightmare.
But there were like 4 writers on the third one.
It was solid. It was.
But the point was that whatever he touched was really good. You know, he did some really good films. Last House on the Left. A lot of people forget about that one. Yeah. You know, just if you're a horror fan, this is actually a blow. This is right up there with, like, you know, I don't even want to say anything because I don't even want to put that energy out there. I'll just be quiet. You know, I don't want to name any other people who, if they died, it would be a blow.
Yeah, so very true. So very true.
Wow, I'm just looking at his filmography. Oh my God, I can't. It's crazy that he did this many movies. When you actually start looking through it, he's actually done a lot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He has done. I don't even need to look at the filmology to even begin to imagine how many things that he's touched. You know, on both big screen and little. So true. So, any more comments? Anybody else want to say anything about Wes Craven passing before we jump to the next topic? Cool.
Do your hosting thing, big brother.
All right, just making sure. If people want to pay tribute to the man, I have no problem with that. I want to pitch to you, Potbelly. First of all, some folks may not know about Vixen. You wrote a very good article on theblackgeeks.com. I wonder if you could kind of take a step back, talk a little bit about the Vixen character and about the new animated series that has caught a little bit of attention.
Vixen is actually pretty cool. I think Vixen was originally introduced in, I want to say, like the 70s. I'm going to give it over to Geekonius to fact check that real quick. But I want to say she was first introduced in like 73. I didn't come to DC early. I came to DC like late, like after like college. I started off as a Marvel head and came up with X-Men and X Factor, things like that, and got into it later. And my first introduction to Vixen was through Justice League Unlimited, and then when especially the love triangle between John Stewart, the Green Lantern, Vixen, and Hawkgirl. I thought that was, really good writing, great storytelling there. So I was like, oh, okay, she seems pretty cool, and I actually like Vixen's character more than I did Hawkgirl. So I started, looking her up and, kind of getting into her, a little bit. But Vixen wears a totem, and that's where she gets her powers from. So she has the power to basically channel every or any animal that's ever lived. So she can channel the strength of an elephant or the ferociousness of a dinosaur or whatever like that. So it's pretty cool. Very kind of primal. She's a real solid character, a strong female character, and Geekonius actually fact-checked it for me real quick. It was in 73. I'm thinking about Misty Knight. It was 73. It's 78. I think her first appearance was like in 81. But the Vixen show is on CW Seed, which is like the CW's like kind of kid brother, kid sister network online. They have a 6-episode season, and it's really kind of like a 6-episode pilot. So they've got 6 5-minute episodes on the CWC that it started, first aired on August 25th. It's going to air every week for the next 6 weeks. And really, it's just so you got about 30 minutes of content. It shows kind of like her introduction to the cinematic universe. And they have crossovers with Arrow and Flash. So the actor Amal, plays Arrow, and I forget the actor that plays the Flash. Like they're
Grant Austin.
Grant Austin, like they're both part of the animated series, so it opens up the world for a lot of crossovers in that universe. And from the way I understand it, she's positioned to be leading their team once Vixen, the series, gets up and running. I wrote the article from the perspective of the fact that I like the character, that I love the animation, and I love the storytelling, I love what they're doing with it, and I love what DC Entertainment has done with the vast majority of their animated franchises. But I wrote it from the standpoint of, with this new push towards diversity, why is Vixen getting 30 minutes of content for one season when you look at some of their other franchises and what was invested in those first seasons? Like, for example, Batman the Animated Series, and I didn't know this until I double-checked it on IMDb, their first season was like 60 episodes. Like, that's insane. But I remember, like, when we were younger, that you got a new episode every day, like 5 for a week, and then sometimes you'll get the 2-parter. So that adds up. And then you look at shows like Justice League, they got 20-some episodes the first season. Things that then they should go Justice League Unlimited, Young Justice. I think Young Justice, the first season was 23 episodes, and I'm looking at it like, okay, so why is Vixen getting shortchanged? And I got into a great discussion with brother on Twitter, and he put it in perspective from a financial standpoint, the cost, what it costs to actually do an animated series like Vixen, and you're looking at $1 or $2 million for a startup network. And he did bring up a very interesting point that CWC doesn't necessarily have the resources, and this is a huge leap forward for them with their first animated foray. And he compared it to basically stick figures versus, or something like stick figures versus actually going into a full cinematic universe. And I would definitely agree with that. So they're making the investment, but also the fact that we're having this conversation means that a whole new audience has now come to CW Seed, and having that investment may be able to produce the ad revenue so that they can do a much longer season. So I'm hoping to see more. I'm just a little bit disappointed. Actually, I take that back. I'm a lot disappointed with the fact that we have to wait 6 weeks in order to get 30 minutes of content for a character that I think should definitely be given a lot more.
But do you think that maybe that's because they wanted to test the waters a little bit? Do you think they just wanted to kind of edge something out there to see what the response would be before they did too much more? They didn't want to overcommit?
And that's the conversation. That's part of the conversation we're having on Twitter, as far as the level of investment that's being made and that return on investment. So this is more like a teaser to keep people coming in and bring more people to it. And as it gets more successful, they'll do more. My only real rebuttal to that would be, you're dealing in the cinematic universe with that's been very successful. DC animation, and I don't think it can be really argued that Marvel has done a better job in the film arena, and DC has done a better job in the animated arena as far as their direct-to-DVD videos and their animation on television. I know Big Rob, you and I have this conversation all the time. Like Green Lantern, the animated series, like we're all pissed off that went off the air. Young Justice, I think every time I bring up Young Justice, Big Rob, like just tells the what the hell, like bring it back. You know?
Exactly.
You know, and so I mean they've done a phenomenal job there, and one of the things that we were talking about potentially is CW itself, the Big Brother picking up Vixen and really giving it the push that it needs. I don't think the Vixen necessarily would have been a failure without, if they put a lot into it up front. I think CW's or DC Entertainment's reputation speaks for itself with the quality of their product and the work they put into it, and it shows. I mean, you look at the first 5 minutes of Vixen, and when it cuts off, you're like, yo, what the hell just happened? Like, that joint was so thorough, and like you leaving us like right here.
I actually did some research on this last week because I had some of the same questions as well. Like, and I was going to go higher to the right with the whole, the black character, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. And what I found out was a lot about the organization of the CW and how it works. And you never really notice it, but, I don't watch a lot of TV. But the CW only gets 2 hours of programming Monday through Friday and 3 hours Saturday and Sunday. And one of the things they have to do with those hours, they have to decide, Arrow and the Flash, what they're going to squeeze in. So they had this CWC thing because this is where, they only had enough money to do a 30 minutes show, but they wanted to spread it out to kind of get the interest in there. And their intention is to make her a live action character in the Flash and Arrow universe. And as I went more research into it, they said that when they initially put the Flash on Arrow, they didn't even know if the pilot for the Flash was going to get picked up. So their game plan was to just have him as a reoccurring character on Arrow. But because he had gotten so much, hype, they were able to get a pilot. And then when the pilot did so good, they were able to order a show. So they're hoping to do the same thing, except that they didn't have the money to do it. But they said they still plan to put her as a live action on the show, which is why they're using Grant Gustin and Steve Amell to voice the characters on the cartoon in the hopes that she will get live action. And they just did that with Constantine as well. Constantine got canceled, but he'll be making appearances in Arrow in this next season.
Yeah.
So it's really, they want to bring her into the universe. They don't have the TV time or the money to do it. And this was their best way of coming up with it as a compromise. It still kind of sucks for the fans because I watched it, and I too after 5 minutes was like, in truth, I actually watched it right before the show. I was watching it in between the commercial breaks of Fear the Walking Dead. So it was only 5 minutes. I said, that's 2 commercial breaks right there. And after it, I was just like,
you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, when The Walking Dead came back on, I missed like 2 minutes because I was too busy staring at the screen. But Vixen, like, that's it. Yeah.
No, and I get where you're coming from, and like I said, and I touched on some of that in the article, not the Constantine piece, but definitely like the shake up and having like met with reps, over at DC Entertainment, like I know what they're trying to do. Like I know what they're trying to do from a diversity standpoint, and I know kind of like how important this is, and one of their fears is to get stuck in the same position that they were with Young Justice. Like they love Young Justice. Young Justice got canceled not by didn't get pulled by DC. It got pulled by Cartoon Network.
Right.
Cartoon Network. All of their success was coming from their comedy-based animation and not from their action-based animation. And DC, as much as they love Young Justice, they're still trying to figure out where they can put it back into play at. So Young Justice, they want to bring back from a DC side. Justice League, they want to bring back from a DC side. And they got a slate of other animated features that they want to do. Is just really trying to find, a place for them. And I get that with I definitely get that with Vixen. It's just disappointing from the standpoint of like all we get is like 30 minutes for right now for something that has tremendous potential, absolutely stellar potential, and also has a track record. When you look at how the character was utilized both in JL and JLU.
And I think one thing that gives me hope. I mean, because you're right. It's still a sore spot losing Young Justice, losing Green Lantern. I mean, because especially like the Green Lantern ended on such a ridiculously emotional high.
Yo, wasn't that like one of the best endings? Like,
dude, I mean, how in the world? I mean, they wrote such an incredible ending to that series. Literally, I was like, am I about to cry? Did they really? I mean, man, that was just a powerful ending in Young Justice. The ending of that just blew me away. I was like, what? What just happened? Did he just whoop his daddy? What? I was like, what? I mean, it was, and so it's like they got good content. The animation is absolutely solid. So I mean, I really hope that we do see the Vixen continue. I really hope that they decide to do another Young Justice. I mean, I can't imagine that they come back and they write another story nearly as strong as that last one. But they can do so much character development. So, I mean, DC, if they've given up the ghost on, I don't think they really technically given up the ghost on the movies. I think they're still trying to compete. But they definitely are going to have a really strong following if they continue with Vixen and they bring back some of the really excellent content and writers that they've had for some of these other animated series.
Geekonis, let me ask you this: like, why does CW have such little airtime? Is it schedule competition?
Well, they're not
contracts.
They're not a full-fledged network. That's the real issue. They're not like NBC, ABC. They don't have news. They don't have any daytime television. So they really just have those primetime slots. So that's the main reason. They're just they've never really been a full-fledged network.
Mm.
So, and they've gone through several transitions because I remember they started with a UPN.
Yeah.
And then went to the WB and then to the CW.
Exactly. And so it seemed like that's when they got stripped down the most, was that last transition to it, which is like, okay, we're giving you primetime slots Monday through Friday and a few hours on the weekend. So make do with what time you have. And that's why, for the most part, all you get is Flash and Arrow and a couple of other things. Next season they're adding Heroes of Tomorrow to the lineup as well. They're really pressed, but we will most likely get a Vixen live action show. And I don't remember if it was a rumor I read somewhere, but I think the woman who's doing the voice acting for Vixen is also going to be doing
do the live action.
Yeah, she's slotted to do the live action as well. So
who's the actress?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Hold on, I'll look it up. I can't remember her name.
But the actress is doing she's also going to be Vixen. So they're basically just putting the concept out there and hoping people will get a good vibe for it. And then the next step will probably be to have her show up on the episode of Arrow or the Flash. And then if that goes well, it may be going to work the same way with the Flash, and they'll be able to put a pilot together.
Okay, Vixen's name is Megalyn, and her last name is Nigerian. Is Echi Kunwoke. And I know I pronounced that wrong.
So wait a minute, let me get this right. So they're actually going to get an African actress to play an African superhero.
Well, she's British.
Whatever.
She's half Nigerian and half
You get
British.
the point I'm going with this.
Yes, we get
Fox.
the point.
You hear that, Fox?
What you trying to say?
I'm saying, look, yes, she's British.
No, not British. I'm sorry. She was born in Washington.
What?
I'm confusing her. Spokane, Washington.
Oh, look at that. So, you mean to
I'm
tell me
confusing her with another half Nigerian actress, but
I was about to say, because half the actors in in our superhero films are British anyway, or from Australia, But no, it's just I think there's some authenticity lost, but I guess we'll see when the Power Rangers villain comes out next summer on X-Men. we'll we'll see what Miss Ship can do with Storm.
You know,
If they
she's
think
done a lot of work. This the one is Megalyn. If you, I don't know like how many shows you guys keep up with, but she was on House of Lies with my man Don Cheadle like a season or two ago. Mind Games, Kevin Bacon show that got canceled the following. She's actually pretty solid actress. I haven't seen her.
You know you're the TV guy. I finally just caught up on season 1 of The Strain. Today I finished the last episode, and I said to myself, "Wow, I should be watching this show." It's already like 6-7 episodes into season 2.
I just looked her up. Yeah, she's been around for a while. She's been an actress in Hollywood for a while now. She was in the 4400.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's quite stunning. I mean, I don't remember her doing any action, but I would like to see her do some action, and I like to see her her break out. Like, and it's kind of funny. Like a lot of the actresses, it seems like Nigeria gets around because like a lot of the actresses, especially the British ones, are like half Nigerian. Like Gugu Mbatha Raw, she's really cool, and quite a few others.
Interesting.
Well, Nigeria is pretty big.
This is true. This country is a country.
It is. I thought it was in the country of Africa.
City? Yeah, I know.
Quick retraction. Google is her father is South African, not Nigerian.
Okay, look, get it together, man.
Listen, man, I have a lot of beautiful actresses in my mind.
That's a situation you might need to deal with. That you need help.
All right. Well, let's jump.
She's not much younger. She's not much younger than me.
Let's jump to the next topic so we can try to keep this thing at a reasonable time.
Fear the Walking Dead. You want to talk about that?
Well, let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead, Geekonius, because you posted some interesting comments, and obviously the Twitter is so diverse in the commentary. Some folks are already jumping ship. You made some interesting comments, and I'm not going to paraphrase your comments, but talk about your Fear of the Walking Dead experience tonight, and some of the comments you posted there at the end of it to kind of put things in perspective.
It's just jokes, and I got a little sidetracked over Nicki Minaj foolishness at the VMAs. But the thing is, a lot of people are starting to hate on this show already, and I don't get it. The whole premise of the show is that it's supposed to be a slow build-up. This is what happened before the apocalypse happened. I don't know what people came into this expecting. Like, I remember in the first episode, there were a lot of tweets of, where are the zombies, where are the zombies? And, and I'm kind of like, why do people watch this show thinking this is full-blown The Walking Dead? When I first read the premise of the show, when they first announced it, as a writer and a reader of the post-apocalyptic genre, of the novels, the comics of The Walking Dead, I was excited because I thought it was a good idea to see how regular people carried out their lives as this weird stuff started happening. But apparently I'm in the minority because people are like, oh, this is the last episode and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, I made some racial jokes because in the first episode, I was making jokes. I said, wow, 3 black characters in the first episode, 3 black men. And now episode 2, spoiler alert, they all gone. Well, technically one is still alive at this time, but he had a big bite on his neck, and we all know where that goes. So he good as dead. And I made a joke about that, but I did come back around full circle and say, this is a very diverse show, though. And that's the one thing I have to give Fear the Walking Dead credit for, because the lead male character is the minority. There's several minorities in the main casting. And it's mainly Latino characters, but it's very diverse. There's no standard, white, caricature on this show whatsoever. It's definitely a diverse show. And so, even though it's not going to have any black people in it so far, or at least it started out with it. I mean, even the relationship, the main daughter, of the series, she has a black boyfriend. That was I thought that was a huge thing. But I think the pacing is just right. Some people argue that it's too slow, but I think that was the point. If you want to see the craziness, wait till October. That's when the real crazy stuff happens on the actual Walking Dead show. So that was my only commentary. Is like Bison is saying, The Walking Dead is not a poor man's World War Z. Fear the Walking Dead is not a poor man's. I don't know, because don't get me even started on World War Z.
No.
I don't know what Bison is doing by bringing up World War Z in my presence, because I'm still mad at Brad Pitt.
Not World War Z. I'm thinking about Z Nation. Z Nation is my show.
Is hilarious. That comes back in a couple weeks.
September 11th.
And the lead character is a black woman, might I add?
Yes.
Dude, I agree with you on Fear the Walking Dead. My only thing is, like, I'm just not that interested. Like, I'm giving it like the Geek Soul Brother 4 episodes, but given the fact that I already know the zombie apocalypse happened, I'm kind of like, And again, I don't know. I don't know if I'm not the. I don't know if I'm the only person that feels that way. Kind of like looking at it, it's like, okay, so we have The Walking Dead. We already know the situation we're in. Like, you kind of really know how things kind of happen just by thinking about it logically. It's kind of like, do you really need to see it? Like,
I mean, I must admit, I was curious when I first heard about the premise of the show, and I had intended on watching, but between having to prepare for this show and still trying to manage my video game addiction, I'm still running around looking for ebony ingot.
You had to stop playing Skyrim. This is just.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Look, at least I'm claiming. At least I'm talking about it. That
is like the first step. You are going through the steps.
At least I'm admitting this problem. But I mean, you're right. I just haven't gotten into it at all. I'll probably hop back in with you.
When
the season starts.
I have to strongly disagree with Bison's comment on the YouTube. He said that AMC is in danger of diluting the franchise, like when Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager was going at the same time. I'm going to say I loved when Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager were at the same time. And, in fact, I think they could have threw on 2 more Trekkie shows in the same universe, and I'd have been all for it. In fact, I want them to give us a couple more TV shows without Scott Bakula, though.
Amen. Can I second, third, and fourth that in the name of geekdom? Please.
I think to pick up on Potbelly's comment, I think it depends on where you're coming from. Like me, again, as a fan of the novels and the comics, I like the idea that Kirkman created this huge universe. And what I always think when I think about the zombie novels in general, whether it's World War Z, whether it's post-apocalyptic like The Stand or something like that, I always, as a writer, as a creative, I always say to myself, okay, yeah, we're focusing just on Rick and his drama, or we're focusing on just this group of survivors in World War Z or whatever. But I think what's always amazing is the stories you're not telling. What else was going on in that world? What else was going on in that country at that time? And for me, that's why I'm interested. So regardless of what happens on Fear the Walking Dead, I'm just interested in what the characters do, what type of things happen as a creative. I don't know if I'm ever going to see anything that's going to blow my mind, and I really don't care. I don't care if they do another one in Chicago next season, and the next season they say, well, this was going on in China. I could care less. I'm interested in the universe. I just want to see more stories told in that genre.
And that's the difference between us, because I actually quit on a couple of the Walking Dead novels, like the last one where it was all about Lily and like what happens after the governor and Woodbury. I can't remember the name of it, but I know you read it.
You talking about The Road to Woodbury?
No. I read all of those. I read the trilogy.
You read The Fall of the Governor?
I read The Fall of the Governor.
So you're talking about Descent.
Yep, Descent. That's it. I didn't even bother to read it because I just wasn't interested. Like, I don't actually care about Woodbury at this point.
Oh, you missed out on a good book.
I have zero interest.
As a reader, I'm just going to say for the record, I don't get people who do that. Like, I can't start a series and just be like, I'm done. It's like
I'm done. I quit on the Anita Blake series.
Yeah, quitting on the Anita Blake series, man. There's some readers out there, and y'all know what Anita Blake is about. Y'all understand the craziness of that statement.
Man, that series took 7 books out of my life. I'm done with it.
Wow.
Hey, look, everyone...
some people are just weird.
Look, it's fertile. Hey, look,
says the man on the podcast in his pajamas.
The only one hiding under the sheet.
At least in black sheep.
It's even hotter.
You know, let's try to get one more topic in before we go. So I'm gonna throw it out there. Geekonius, your call. Do you want to talk about Compton, or do you want to talk about what I was gonna bring to the show tonight? It's about video games, and it's not about Skyrim.
I would just say I finally saw Straight Outta Compton this week. I went to a screening, and I got late. I got there too late. And normally when you get late for a screening, they tell you, "Oh well, have a nice life." But this particular night, they said, "Well, for everybody who didn't get here in time, we're letting you see any movie in the theater tonight for free on us." So I saw Straight Outta Compton finally, and all I wanted to say was, I believe the hype is real. What everyone was saying about how good this movie is, I think it was really that good, and I would not be shocked. Well, I'd be shocked if it didn't get any Oscar anything, because it was really a really good movie.
But wait, an Oscar for what though? Oscar
Acting, storytelling, videography. What are you talking about?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what Oscar you're talking about, because I mean,
I thought the performances were really good. I really felt like, I got to know the characters. They seemed authentic, like the actual real people, especially Ice Cube's son's performance. And maybe I was just a little blown by the fact how much he looks like his father. But, even the guy who played Dr. Dre, I mean, they came off really authentic, and it was very dramatic without being cheesy. I think they did a good job.
So here's my take on it. First of all, I think it was a really good movie. I think it was definitely a solid movie. I like the fact that I got to see the context, because a lot of times standing on the outside of what happened with NWA, you kind of know what happened, but you don't really know a lot of the backside of it. One thing that I liked about the movie, I agree with you wholeheartedly, that Ice Cube's son, I mean, when I thought about it, who could better do his father justice than his son? And man, he had the mannerisms down. I mean, I think they portrayed Cube as just as hard as he's always been portrayed. It was really great to see the other context with Ren and Easy. I thought it was a really solid movie. I thought it was well written. Do I think that it's going to get any Oscar nods? I don't think so. I think it was a good movie, but I don't know. Maybe the Easy's acting. Maybe the guy, the brother that played Eazy-E, maybe he might get something. I don't think Dre's character was. Definitely Ren's character wasn't. And the fact, I think this was I think it was, he's O'Shea. Is it O'Shea Jackson Jr.?
Mm-hmm.
That's his name. I think he did. I mean, for a first time, man, his acting coach was a beast, or he's just really just down.
Or he just grew up with his father and was just like, I can do this all day.
Oh no, I know how to. What Phoenix? What you say?
I could do that all day too.
What you say, Phoenix? Phoenix, what were you saying?
No, I said I mean, if he's good at impersonating his dad, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had the mannerisms down. His facial expressions weren't quite as broad as his father's were, because his mouth kind of twists up a whole lot more. But still, I mean, solid. That movie was solid from start to finish. I mean, I actually had to go to the bathroom for the last 30 minutes of that movie, but I didn't want to budge. I did not want to budge because it was really just that good, and it really drew you in, and it gave. One thing I really respected about this movie is that they dealt with some really serious, hard, emotional issues, and they let the men be men, and they let them be emotional men. And I really like that.
Except for the issue with the women that they brushed over, Dr. Dre's issues with women and some of the misogyny, but.
Well, you know what, Phoenix, I thought about that. I thought about that, especially from the aspect of them showing I think they call it the Wet and Wild Party, and I thought about that aspect of it. But if it's an historical telling of it, I mean, it's historic. It is. I mean, yeah, it's misogynistic. Absolutely, the stuff that they did and the way they portrayed women, absolutely was definitely didn't show women a positive light. But that was the story. That's what quote unquote happened according to them.
I think
no, but they kept out the part where he actually beat out, like where he,
I thought that was she was going.
Beat his he has an issue of abuse towards the women he's with. They chose to not use that. It was pretty much brushed out completely. But I mean, I still want to see the film for what it is. But it's, they picked, of course, because who was the producers and stuff. But they picked and chose, certain things they wanted to portray.
Can I? Because that was a big deal, and Face couldn't make it tonight, but we had a long discussion about this as well, because it was a big deal about them not mentioning the incident with D. Barnes or any of Dr. Dre's assault on his wives and girlfriends. And here's my thing as a writer. If I was tasked with writing this script, God forbid, because I couldn't imagine putting a biopic together. The movie was supposed to be about NWA. And all of that drama was about Dr. Dre. And when you look at the formation of NWA and how they came to be, it was like, are you going to talk about the group, or are you going to focus on what a member in the group did? And so I understand personally, obviously it would not have been, Dre and them are not going to let that be in there if they're behind the film. But from a purely creative standpoint, I think if you're going to make a movie about the group, it should be about the group. Whatever Ice Cube did in his personal life or what Easy might have did, and if it impacted the group, it was significantly impacting the group, then yeah, put it in there. But if it was something, incidents that Dre did that mainly impacted Dre, and it didn't quite put a lot of spotlight on the group, and if you look at the historical record, the incidents with D. Barnes' personal life, it was never an NWA thing. It was a Dr. Dre thing. So I personally don't see. I think the movie would have been in a whole nother direction. Having seen the film now, it would have taken away from the movie if we started laser focusing on Dre. Because if you look at the film, it segued to Dre only when it really needed to. And it was on Ice Cube a lot because it had, there was some poignant parts about Ice Cube's story as well as Eazy-E. Some people are complaining that DJ Yella, MC Ren didn't get any limelight. And when they were interviewed with it, they said, well, when you look at the group, those were the real three: Dre, Eazy, and Ice Cube. So I don't know. I personally don't think it was a issue, but it's worth mentioning. I just don't think it was. I saw all the controversy before I seen the movie, and then seeing the movie, I kind of was like, well, I don't see where they would have fit it in without making the movie. And even the writer said that they did have a draft of a scene with the D. Barnes incident, and then when they looked at the script as a whole, it just seemed out of place. And maybe he's just saying that, you never know. But I've also, having been in the behind the scenes a little bit in different things, I found out that sometimes what people say is actually what happened. It's just on the outside. It's always easy to look out on the outside that that
Right.
they might just be blowing smoke.
Right, and I had heard a lot of the news about Dre's history, and I was wondering how much they were going to put into the movie, especially considering his new deal with Apple. And so, looking at it from a political standpoint, once I saw the movie, I'm like, okay, I get it. I knew they weren't going to do too much, but to Geekonius's point, it's interesting because I would have liked to see a little bit more of their backgrounds, because like the only person like you really saw any real strong context of their background, or really you saw elements with each person, but like Dre's mother and his relationship. But I guess that there was a correlation between his mother and his brother that is relevant to the story. But like I would have liked to see a little bit more of Q's background. You saw a little bit of Easy's, and you really didn't see any of Ren or Yella. But I had a feeling they weren't going to do it, especially because of the prominence that Dre has become even within the Apple organization. Politically, I knew they weren't going to touch it. I do want to read some of the comments from YouTube. First of all, I did not acknowledge our great loyal followers that are following us on the show live. The armchair commentary, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And of course, our steady Eddie, our brother so deep in knowledge, Bison. I'll call him by his name. We call him Bison for life. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. We really appreciate your support. And of the 6 other people watching, I'm guessing that's me and Geekonius are 2 of them. So there are 2 other people watching.
And someone had the nerve to give us a thumbs down.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, whoever
that's so
that is.
Nice. That's okay.
F you too.
Really, Geekonius? From you? Oh, you must be having a ride night. I was gonna make an Ewok joke, but I'm just gonna leave it alone because you just are in the place for that tonight.
But some of the comments, let's just to get into it. They really want to hear. They really want to hear what you have to say on it, Phoenix. I guess I'm blowing too much political smoke, and they want to hear females' opinion on it. About not including D Barnes or any of Dre's notorious past with women.
Honestly, I'm going to chime in for a hot second real quick. Even though I didn't see the movie, so I'm not going to say nothing. But Phoenix, before you give an opinion on the movie...
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
No. I'm not going to say anything crazy.
Okay.
Just say it. They want Phoenix's opinion, but she hasn't seen the movie. So, wouldn't it be better for her to see it and then give both perspectives?
Well, she could give her perspective now, then go see it, and then follow up.
Well, I feel like the question isn't necessary. I get what Geekonius was saying about the idea that it didn't fit in the movie, but then you have what about Rob said about wanting to know more of the background. So I think it's not a matter of, for me, whether or not I'm going to look at the movie and say, oh, that scene wouldn't have made any sense. I think any part of their lives, especially major things such as that, would have made sense. It's just a matter of whether or not why they chose not to put it in. So I know Dr. Dre issued some type of apology or something recently, but of course that was after a lot of the backlash that came from it. And see in the movie, she spoke up about the situation as well. So I think, it's one of those things. It's when Straight Outta Compton came out, there was an article called Straight Out of Misogyny that came about, kind of talking about the idea of, even though NWA was this very influential group, it was controversial as well. And with not just the D-Bar, that situation, but just the idea of, the way they, were towards women, and whether or not by with this movie and the hype around whether or not we were exalting, this misogynist behavior. But I think, I still want to see the movie, and I think it's one of those things where you kind of look at it for what they did represent in certain positive ways, but also, I mean, I feel like that's the question of history. You know, people, we like to kind of just take all the good, and then we kind of like to, you know, brush off the darker stuff. But I honestly think it was
I
a
mean,
political
hell, we
move because of the
celebrate
fact that
George
Dr.
Washington.
Dre.
He was a slave owner.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that mainstream
I just take
thing.
my
I
day
mean,
off. I don't know about celebrating.
but I'm talking about like the controversial stuff within our own, like within the black community. Like, you know, like let's look at, you know, Martin Luther King and how there was a whole thing with the Selma movie, how originally in one of the script there was a thing where he was like talking to a prostitute or something, because we all, you know, it's been learned that he was, you know, he had a lot of infidelities, you know, but that's something that no one likes to talk about. It doesn't affect the civil rights thing or whatever, but that was an aspect of who he was. But that's something, you know, people get skeevy when you talk about that. And then you have like Dr. Dre, like this rapper, you know, situation. And it's, yeah, I think it was, yeah, I think they chose not to do it just because, you know, they didn't want to put him in that light, to be honest. I don't think it's a matter of whether or not it fit in the movie. That's just my opinion about it. I'm still going to see the movie because, I mean, I hear it was really well done.
I would really like to hear your opinion after you see it because, again, I went into it after reading all the backlash, and after seeing the movie, my opinion changed because the movie was almost 3 hours long anyway.
It was 2.5 hours. It was 2 hours and 30 minutes.
It felt like forever. I went in the theater like 8:30. I walked out the door at like 11 something. I was like, damn, where was I at all the time? And it didn't feel like it though. The movie.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it. I agree.
It was. I mean, from beginning all the way to the freaking credits, you know, everyone was glued to their seats. But after having seen the entire thing, what incidents they chose to cover, what aspects of the characters that they felt was important to tell a story, I just don't think you can get any biopic right, personally. I guarantee you, if you go back, you know, there was beef about Ali, there was beef about Ray, there was beef about Malcolm X, all the good biopics, because it's history. You can't really. That's what I'm saying. As a writer, I couldn't imagine having to do a biopic because you have to make that decision. What parts, you know, just like you would any fiction script, you know, what's relevant to tell the story? What's the main story you're trying to tell? And what aspect of these characters are important to tell this story? And a biopic is that much more difficult because you're talking about real people that have done real things.
And put money with the movie.
Yeah, but you know the thing is though, again, I as a writer, you're a writer too. I would love to hear your opinion after you see it because I personally don't see how it would have added to the movie whatsoever after seeing the finished product.
Okay, let me say on principle, whether I see it or not, I'm going to say of the fact that was a major thing that happened, and that the fact that they chose not to put it in was based off of the political maneuvers of who had the money behind the film, and also of Dr. Dre standing. Whether I see it or not, and think as a writer, you know, it didn't fit or something, I'm still going to say that the reason why they chose not to put it in, something major like that, I mean, that could have been like some powerful scene or whatever, you know, let's be real, like, you know, there's a lot of emotional type porn in a lot of these films when they play up, you know, certain dramatic things to make a movie more exciting. They chose to keep that part out. It's not like it was like, you know, some conversation that happened that no one wanted to hear about. It was a beating. You know,
I'm too young. I'm too young to speak on it.
I'm talking about on principle.
I am too young to speak on it. I don't remember hearing about this when it happened at all.
I'm not talking about it being a major thing when it happened. I'm talking about it being a major thing that occurred. You know, his wife beating tendencies. That was an aspect of this man's behavior. That was a major thing. It wasn't a one-time incident. It occurred with many of his partners. They chose to block that whole aspect of him out. That's not a small thing.
They didn't show like, any aspect of him in the movie.
And he beat all the multiple people. Come on. I can look at the film and say it didn't fit, but it's on principle of the matter. They chose not to do it. And they didn't choose it because it didn't fit. They chose it because of the light they didn't want to put him in.
Well, as far as the character they did speak on to, they only spoke on like 2 relationships. And that was because of their role in the story of NWA. Ice Cube's wife and his role with him leaving NWA, and Eazy-E's wife and the financial problems they were going through. They barely even touched any of the other characters in their personal lives. And that goes for DJ Yella and MC Ren as well. So, I mean, again,
but he's Dr. Dre.
Yes. But when
and he's a very big personality.
Back
you don't think
then,
that would have grabbed people's attention in the film?
But back then, he was just another member of NWA.
I'm talking about this film and their marketing of this film and what was in the film and what could have grabbed in terms of being interesting parts of the film.
Well, okay.
And I'm saying they chose to avoid that drama.
I again feel like I'm too young, but if I were to look at the NWA between the years of the late 80s and the early 90s, when I was 8 to 12 years old, if those were major NWA controversies, I am not aware of them. If they are, those are the things.
You're missing my point. I think you're missing my point.
No.
On his personality, on his behavior. It's a biopic. You learn things in biopics that you don't know about from before. I'm not talking about making news.
It's not a Dr. Dre biopic.
He was part of NWA. I'm just saying we have a tendency in our culture that very much, is very much in tune with rape culture of how it does is that when it comes to the question of violence against women, things like that, that's not considered as important. And that, I feel like that colored the decision to not try to use it, because any other situation, if he wasn't a major character and they needed like a dramatic scene or something, they would have put something about it in.
It was just the fact that Turner biopic, because that was a very important part of her career and what happened when she left Ike Turner. And that was very controversial. They showed the beatings and stuff in the Tina Turner film.
Because it was also a film showing a strong woman and what she went through. This was a film about men.
But this was about
what was going on and the fact of how...
I'm saying when you're telling a narrative, that was about Tina Turner. This was about the group. How the group came together, how the group broke up, what happened at the end when the group was already split up and where they are now. It was not about Eazy-E. It was not about Ice Cube. It was not about DJ Yella, MC Ren, or Dr. Dre. It was about NWA. From that standpoint of a narrative, going into each one of their personal lives really doesn't have relevance on the biopic about the group, its formation, its controversy when it broke up, and what happened after that.
And that's why I said y'all should have this debate after everybody's seen it.
Yeah. And I said, and that's why I said on principle, the way I think society works, I'm not talking about whether I see the film and think it fit or not. I'm talking about the reason why it wasn't put in. And that's my issue with it, why it was not put in. And we all know it was not put in, not because it didn't fit a narrative, but because of the function of how our society works when it comes to wanting to glorify certain other things and push other things under the rug, particularly when it comes to violence against women. Okay. All right.
I think that's speculative. We don't know that for a fact.
And I think you sound like an apologist for the fact that they glossed over this very big thing that's very much occurred with violence against women.
Challenge.
And I'm not saying you are an apologist. I'm saying what it sounds like when there's been a big backlash, when there are women speaking out. I'm talking about in the political arena, when there are women speaking out, saying that they feel that this movie and the way that they glossed over a very big aspect and basically I'm here and we're saying, well, it didn't fit the narrative. Like that it's not a good enough excuse. It's just not a good enough excuse.
But this goes back to what Geekoni has said, and again, I'm not making apologies for it. I think to what he was trying to say, if I understood it, he said, let's talk about it after you see it. And I hear what you're saying, and you're right, it was a portion of it. But once you see the movie and see how they did it, they didn't go in depth on everything. They didn't mention other things about other people's lives, about what they were going through at the time.
Well, Ice Cube had been with his wife for like ever. That wasn't a controversial thing. It's
right, and there was a piece of that in the movie, but that's what I'm saying. There were there were only flashes of their lives outside of NWA. There
The
were only
movie was
flashes
really
here and
more
there.
about Eazy-E and Jerry, what's his
Right,
face?
and that's why, and I think that was just the point that he was making. And you're right. I mean, it could have been in there. I mean, I think they could have added it in. But you're right. I think it was more political why they did. But
Yeah, and
to
that's
your
all
point,
I'm saying. And I'm
yeah,
not going. I don't feel like making like excuses for the they saying like the narrative. But let's be real. The real reason why that wasn't put in was because of the way it was going to make Dr. I'm saying, like, if you're making a movie, a biopic, you're going to pick some of the most dramatic things you can put in there. Just for the emotional porn that we tend to do when we do stories about people and things like that. And they chose, and that was something like, if I'm sitting in the room, I'm like, that could be a very dramatic piece right there. But I'm like, well, why wouldn't we put that in? Well, one is going to make Dr. Dre look even worse, and two, I mean, we don't want that to derail something, blah blah blah. But it's this idea that was a big aspect of this man's behavior, and he was one of the members of the group. It's just, I think it's one of those things where when we talk about, we just have to be, I think, aware of, like, when we talk about this thing of how it sounds, especially to women, and it's just this idea of, I don't like to play up this idea that, that it's like, oh, it was just, a thing with, not just, but like a thing with, just the idea of, how they constructed the story. We know how Hollywood is.
I will say this. When they did the biopics for Ray Charles and Muhammad Ali, there were things that were very unsavory about those characters and their misogyny and treatment of women that people had not known about at all. Both of those people were alive and participated in when the films were made, and they were included in those movies. I personally, based on the track record of these biopics, have seen the same thing from my recollection of biopics, from Malcolm X all the way through to this one, have seen they not have a problem with including those unsavory aspects, whether it was the womanizing of Muhammad Ali or Ray Charles, the outright beating in some of the films. They have shown it. And these are celebrated characters in the black community, particularly Muhammad Ali, and as well as Ray Charles. I remember my grandmother, after having seen Ray Charles, and she grew up with Ray Charles, she was like, I don't like him anymore after seeing that movie, because no one knew about that aspect of Ray Charles. So I personally don't see why all of a sudden Dr. Dre is some character, some golden character that we're saying, oh, well, he's untouchable, that's why he's not in there, when they did it to everybody else. I think that, we're taking our emotional reactions to the fact that it wasn't included, and we don't know what those decisions were. We really just don't know. Now, we want to say, oh, it was all politics and they never want to do this. I'm just going to disagree that they never want to do this, because they have done it. They have done it with several of our people of note, celebrities, and several films that have come out in the last decade or so. They have done it. They didn't do it in this movie. And I don't think it's an industry thing. I don't think it's because they don't want to show people in this light, because they have done it. What I'm saying is, I went into the film with some of the same beliefs, having read the controversy, because I personally hadn't heard any of it until this film came out. And then everybody was like, oh yeah, back then he did this to Michelle A, he did this to D. Barnes. And I was like, really? And they didn't put that in the movie? And then I went and seen the movie, and I walked out, and I said, huh. That was my literal reaction to one of the first things I did. I called Face, who was the only one at the time who had seen it, and I asked him what his opinion was. I said, because I surely walked into the movie with the same attitude, like, why didn't they include this? And I think it should be something that should be included based on the whole media onslaught of this a crying shame they don't have it in there. And then after I actually saw the movie, my opinion changed. That's all I'm saying.
Got you.
So maybe I'm an apologist. I don't know. But I don't think I'm being an apologist. I think I'm being as rational as I can be, looking at all sides of the argument.
Well, it's almost midnight here on the East Coast. Let's look at this. We'll be an hour and 30 minutes into the show. Let's pick this up. Let's give Phoenix an opportunity to see it. We'll talk about it. I don't think her opinion is going to change based upon the movie because her point is really outside of the movie.
Yes.
It's the principle.
Yes.
So yeah, I get that. And Geekoni's point is just it was the story and it was.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I get it. Yeah, I hear both sides.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's wrap it. We're gonna pick this up because we got another show in 6 days and
No, we don't. No, we don't have a show next weekend.
Why not?
Some of the Black Geeks will be at Dragon Con. So
I completely forgot. Okay.
So we'll be in Atlanta. So I guess we'll be picking up after the Labor Day weekend.
Why can't we do a broadcast from there?
Oh, that'd be cool.
They don't have Wi-Fi in Atlanta? What? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? Did I miss it?
I don't know if you really want to see us doing a broadcast from the hotel. I mean,
absolutely. Well, I don't want to see Potbelly do it.
Yeah, exactly. have you
the hotel room? Ain't no telling what you gonna get.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it during the weekend. We'll let everyone know. What we're gonna do. Make sure that the folks who are following, make sure you follow us on Twitter or on Facebook because we'll post all of our show notices there. So we'll let you know about a show for next week. Don't forget, thanks everyone for listening, for watching. There's a lot of commentary going on in the chat room. Even Inda Lauren has jumped in as well. Thank you so much. Really great. You guys really help make the show with your comments. I really appreciate it. But you can follow the Black Geeks on Twitter at the Black Geeks, on Facebook at the Black Geeks. Make sure you go to the website www.theblackgeeks.com. Make sure you check out the Potbelly Samurai's new article about Vixen. We've also got a couple of really interesting articles up there from the Black Geeks and from some of our contributors as well. Big thanks to Dark Phoenix, to the Potbelly Samurai, to Dark Econius and his fabulous collection of Sith News. Appreciate that, man. You and your fabulous lightsaber. Appreciate you putting all the news together. Appreciate you guys just showing up and giving your energy to the podcast. Like us, share us, folks. We'll be back again maybe next week, or if not, in 2 weeks, 10:30 p.m. YouTube. Make sure you follow so you can find out. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you all next week.